Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Super Paper Mario. This is more of Samurai Guys. This is just extras, honestly, at this point. Though technically this is Chapter 6, but it's an extra. Wah! I am Weeping Pokey, guard of the 51st Gate. Soon you will know the sadness of defeat, and I, Weeping Pokey, will know the empty sadness of victory. Or defeat. It could be the other way around. All these guys have, like, way too much confidence. Not that that's a bad thing, but overconfidence can give you a little bit of too much of an ego boost, and as much as underconfidence is a bad thing, so is overconfidence. Egos are... I mean, I know sometimes I myself can be kind of, very unconfident in myself, but at the same time, I guess I'd rather be that... I'd rather be more balanced, obviously, but I'd rather be that than egotistical, because when you have an ego, the thing is, when you're being unconfident, you might be aware of how good you are, but at the same time, well, I guess you're a little oblivious of how good you are, but I feel like when you're overconfident, you're really oblivious that you're not as good as you are, and I just feel like the people who are, like, egotistical are just less likely... I guess the thing is, I have friends who are also, not confident in their abilities, as well as, I myself am not that confident, and they're people who are enjoyable to be around, unlike people who are egotistical who really just aren't fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I feel like of the two, I prefer people to be less confident than overconfident. However, you should be balanced. Balance is key. Key is whole. Whole is donut. Donut is delicious. So therefore, that equation is the secret to life. That is the truth. End of story. Anyway, so yeah, we just beat like Hammer Uncle, obviously reference to Hammer Bro, and here we have a little baby, squatting toad. In my ward, my strength has no rival. I lift it with my legs and squatting. Ew. Round 53, fight. So we're halfway there. Again, I almost feel like this actually takes longer than the pits, maybe because of the dialogue. Because with the pit, depending on, well, as you'll see with the pits, depending on, like, certain aspects, you can either, like, take a long time in each room, or go through each room, like, insanely fast, so... yeah, I almost think this actually takes longer to an extent. I don't know. Welcome to you, Ageless Goomba, Guardian of... Yeah, he's ageless. Which reminds me of, I guess I could talk about my thoughts of Super Mario Bros. Super Mario 3D Land. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm always one of the belief who thinks that Mario games should be more kind of linear. And people think linear is a bad thing, and it really isn't. Super Mario 64 was one of those games that really broke away from what Mario was normal, and then it became kind of the norm for 3D Mario games, even though, Sunshine and Super Mario 64 are the only two that do. There are only two games of Mario that do what everything else does, and I feel like people... I don't know. You know me, I've always thought that some of the early N64 games got way too much credit, like Ocarina of Time, which is a great game, but yeah, I'm not even going to go into that, because people who have watched my videos know my thoughts on Ocarina of Time, and it is my least favorite Zelda, even though it's... Unlike Super Mario 64, which I don't like Super Mario 64. I don't know, I think part of it is just... Like, it does what it does well for being, the first 3D Mario game, but I don't know, I feel like it just... Part of the thing that it is, and I've said this before, life is balance. Life needs balance, right? So if one thing is really unbalanced, things are going to come along to balance it out. For example, if you have a lot of people praising something with tons of praise, more so than it needs, or more so than it deserves, and this one's kind of weird, Bob the Silent Blade, not really a reference to anything, but it's kind of a cool name, to be fair. But, like, for example, in my opinion at least, and I guess it really is an opinion thing too, but, Super Mario 64 gets a little bit more praise than it deserves from some people. Not as much as other games, it's not, like, super overrated, but, and so because of that, you have people, who are seeing its flaws. They end up, not have to, but they end up being very strict against it. For example, with Ocarina of Time, I usually point out all the flaws, but honestly, I really do have there's a lot of things about it I like, too. And the issue is, because everyone else points out all the good things, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, you know, depending on certain situations, there's like certain aspects of your opinion. Like, your opinions are can be balanced, but and the people who don't get into conversation like this tend to have either don't want to share opinions or get very, you know, basically a very pretty much neutral opinion. But, like, my opinion leans more towards it being my least favorite Zelda. Therefore, because everyone else, or a majority of people I talk to, the other majority tends to think the other side, my negative opinions of it get amplified. And vice versa, for people who are negative towards something, like, for example, when people dislike something that I think is, you know, I kind of like, and everyone else is against it, you know, for example, Disney Universe, my positive opinions get amplified. So the goal, I feel, is for all involved to just kind of look at the other side of the argument to, over the flagpole, to, you know, balance your opinion, basically. Balance is key. So, but yeah, my thing with, okay, so my thing with Super Mario 3D Land, roundabout way of saying it, I like the fact that it's kind of going back to Mario's traditional roots while adding in a bit of the 3D elements. I would be interested in seeing how the 3D works. I know people are concerned about it just being a gimmick. Here's the thing, you have to look at what challenge they have, and I really wish people would stop complaining about the 3DS personally, but that's for a different day, or a rant for a different day, but, basically the challenge they have is making a game that uses 3D and make it less than a gimmick, which I think, to be honest, Nintendo is in the right direction. They're actually attempting to do this, and usually with any kind of gimmick they have, like with the motion controls, they're the best at making use to it to an extent. I feel, at least, because they really do. I know people complain about Nintendo and say, oh, their games are horrible or stuff like that. You have to look at it this way. You might not like them, but I really don't think you can deny that they do a good job of doing what they do in making games. Their games are well-made games. You may not like their style choice, and you may want realistic. Some people may want realism as opposed to kind of the cartoony style, but the point of the matter is, I feel like it's kind of Raging Blarg. It's kind of evident that they do put a lot of effort into their games. Other companies that I don't like their games, I do respect, you know, how they do things. For example, I'm not a big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies, but Peter Jackson, I really respect his filming style. Basically, he doesn't focus on the CG. He kind of also uses he may use a mixture of CG and then old filming styles. I like that. And so, like, you can respect the developer or the maker of something without necessarily, and even respect their product without, like, liking it. So, I don't know. My goal for most people in general, my goal for life is for people to just kind of be less attacking. And you know what? You know, I know I sometimes attack things too. But again, like I said, it's kind of that thing of I can try and be as balanced as I can, but if everyone else is not getting balanced, you kind of get caught up in the unbalancedness of no balance. So, you know, if everyone was balanced, then we wouldn't have unbalancedness, imbalancedness, indubitable. I need to learn to pronunciation for dummies. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. Pronunciation? Pouncingation? I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on 3D Land is it's looking cool. I like the fact that Boom Boom's back. And I'm kind of interested to see what other power-ups they have. Nintendo definitely does, nowadays, kind of, you know, nostalgia is one of their biggest things, which there's nothing wrong with nostalgia. I mean, Hasbro's doing that with all their reboots. That's what they did with the Transformers movies, not that I like them. And then they did it with, you know, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which I do like the show quite a bit. I don't consider myself, you talk about being kind of balanced, I don't consider myself in the fan group of that, personally, because, you know, fans can be crazy. Like Trekkies, they're crazy. But yeah, I don't consider myself in the fan group, but I think it's a really awesome show. And being an animator, I think it looks really nice. And I think anyone who is kind of about the show, I think you should watch it. Maybe a few episodes. It's not for everyone, to be honest. But then again, I don't know. I think it's considering the fact that my friends at college only, like me, and my one friend and his girlfriend liked it, and then now everyone, for the most part, likes it or is like, at least admits that it's a good show. You know, that's, and considering the fact that all of them are like guys, so. But yeah, it's an interesting show, to be fair. I do think some of the fan people are crazy, like a little bit too insane about it. But I will admit, I like how they're doing with the animation and stuff. And I like the fact that it's, you know, it doesn't resort to what SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob. You know I love SpongeBob. Everyone knows I love SpongeBob. But it doesn't resort to that kind of mentality that SpongeBob has kind of set down, that we have to be extremely randomly random to be funny. For example, from what I've seen of the regular show, to an extent, I'm not going to fully back up that statement. From what I've seen of Chowder, from what I've seen of Adventure Time, from what I've seen of Flapjack, that's what those shows do. They're just randomly random. And I'm not saying they're not funny, but I almost feel like they get to the point of not even having any thought behind them. Like, no, SpongeBob did for the first few, before the movie SpongeBob, and then like Rocco had that, you know, past Nicktoons. I feel like there's just been like, how dumb can we be for the sake of being dumb? And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And again, I should watch them a little bit more. But I don't know, just like watching, I watched a clip of the regular show, and it, like, well, there was one song that someone showed me, the Summertime song, which was cool, but the one clip of the regular show, and it was like, just, I don't know, I just, not so much that those type of shows should not exist, more of, I wish we had less of them, and more of, like, basically more balanced types of shows. Like, you know, when I say I don't like something, or I think that there should be less of something, it's not, I think it should be gone forever. It's like, you know, those shows are fine. I feel there should be more thought behind them. Maybe there are. Maybe I just need to watch them a bit more. But I think variety. Variety is the spice of life. The variety is the spice that makes General Tso's chicken. Well, I guess Sal's Cho's. I was gonna say KFC's chicken. I don't know. It's spicy. It's really good. Monty Who Waits. Yay. But yeah, variety's good. So I guess that's the one thing. As much as I like decry, I don't like realism, I don't also think that realism should go away. And for the people who are like, you know, I don't like cartoony things, those are crap. Well, why do you have to, you know, say it's crap? I mean, if you don't like it, you could say, I'm not really into that, and just leave it at that, you know? I mean, part of it is, I don't get why we have to, like, diss other people's stuff. And I know I've Mustard of Doom. Your face is nonsense. It is like a sad duel drawn by a person who is ugly. And now it will have the punishment doled upon it. My sword has fury. But, obviously, Fawful reference. I mean, when I say things, I'm not saying it because I'm, like, I know all. It's more of I'm saying it because it's something that everyone should work on, including me. So I think when I do diss things, a lot of it is initial reaction. But when I think things through, it's dumb to initially react to something with, that's dumb, who likes that? You know, it's one of those things. You arrive at the 68th gate, peanut butter piter. My hands are creamy flurry. That could be taken wrong. I spread you thin. Round 68, fight. Ooh, next round is gonna be 69. Yeah, these battles are kind of boring. It's the text that really makes this section really interesting. You are one of the ants on the log of my existence. Peanut butter is awesome, though I don't get the people who like creamy peanut butter. Crunchy is always. If I'm having a sandwich, crunchy. Why would I mean? Like, it just feels like if you don't have crunchy, you don't get the. It's like the meat of the sandwich. You need crunchy peanut butter. You know of what I speak? Waka! Oh, you claim no knowledge. Waka! I am the Wrath of Waka. The 69th gate. Well, I guess not really ironically. But it is kind of interesting. And there's Ninjo. And there's Did Waka. But, yeah, I do, it's not that, I don't know, I feel like crunchy just I like the texture that crunchy adds, and I feel like the nuts actually just change the taste slightly. I feel like creamy, there's too much cream, to creamy, whereas crunchy just it's awesome. Though I understand why some people will not like crunchy. They don't like the texture, maybe. Micro Boomba. My speech is small, my wrath is... Do not snicker, my sword does not speak so softly. No, it screams! Hey, 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 don't scream at me. It's not nice. Yeah, these tiny ones can be annoying, because they... Especially the ones with the Sonic Boom swords. Not only are they fast, but they're like... You know, fast, and they have all these Sonic Boom things going everywhere, and they're small. Ironically, you would think the big ones would be the most dangerous, but really the big samurai guys are easy. The smaller ones are more kind of dangerous than the big ones. Ugh, it is an interloper. First I will club you, then I will crush you. No matter what weapon I wield, be it bludgeon or blade, I will club you. I am the guard of 71st Gate. Steel Clubber. I love clubbers. Clubbers are awesome. And there's an in... Did I say they were John's? Yeah, because Jerry's the last one, I think. Super hyper sonic boom beam or something. I guess it's not really... There's the one with the sonic boom type things, and then those ones which are like the laser balls. My master weeps from his high mountain seat. My training begins today. I must forget the ways of the clubber and learn anew. But clubbers are awesome. Why would you forget the ways of the clubber? How dare you? Okay. So yeah, at this point you can already see I'm kind of out of healing items for the most part, which isn't good. That's one thing that I always tend to do, is you definitely want to have more healing items. One other thing is, if you want to train for this, I recommend going to either... You could go to 5.4, Chapter 5.4, there's a pipe that has infinite spawning, Fluorosapiens. That's not a bad place to train, because you can just have Bowser breathe fire and kill them with no effort, but you have to, like, be good to prop down your Wiimote with something to make it do it infinitely, or tape it down. But I recommend Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy. No! How has it come to this? But, I recommend going to, like, 5.3. Or no, 5.3. 8.3. Because, that one has a bunch of Skelebits, but also has a slow and a fast flower, and right in the beginning, and you can rack up some really quick points there. Plus, you know, the Fluorosapiens only give you 500 points, whereas you get more from the ones in 8.3. And plus you get some coins from the pigs in that area too, so definitely I feel like that's the best place to, if you want to grind levels a bit. You can go up to level 99, and by that point you're kind of just own everything, but I never really feel like going up to that point, because A, besides this and the pit, there really is no reason to go up that high, because most of the game is pretty easy, and B, why the heck would you spend that much time grinding to level 99? I don't see why you would ever consider that something you would want to do. I mean, there's games where I like to grind, like Monster Tail, for example. I wanted to grind to actually get all of the monster forms, and that was one that I actually wanted to grind, and I actually enjoyed grinding. But I don't like games where it forces you to grind, because then it's just kind of but they have to give you a reason to grind. Like raising a monster, that's kind of gives you a reason. Here, well, I guess you're raising Bowser. He's a monster, but he's a monster. My rolling fungus threat. Ugh. Yeah, so there should be one more, I think. Or is there two? I think there's only one more samurai guy left for this chapter. I think so. And let's see who it is. The 75th gate is before you, and so too is the guard, Lakitu Storm. Okay, let's defeat Lakitu Storm. It shouldn't be too hard. Boom! Round 75. Fight. And... oh, he's not dead yet. Now he is. So yeah, wasn't too hard, actually. You weathered my storm, and for that I give respect. Okay, this is Maker 400, and I'm reminding you that Bowser loves pickles. And you.